if you can hear her. I look so pale. Sorry. I was gonna do my makeup and then I decided against it, but good morning. Hello. I've been gone for a while since my last vlog, but I had my baby. If you can't hear her. Welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to film a little updated video about where I am, where I've been, which might be difficult to do because I have a newborn. But my husband took my daughter Clara to the gym, so I had a free hour this morning to film a little update, But I had my baby. She was born on November 6th at 12:45 in the afternoon. I went in and got my induction on the night before, November 5th, started around 7:00 p.m. I had her the next day. So it was very quick and quite the experience. So I figured I would just kind of do a little birth story, I guess. I am not prepared for this video. I didn't write anything down. I didn't write any key points. I feel like I probably should have now that I'm sitting here and filming, because the mom brain is real, especially when I have a toddler and a newborn that I'm like transitioning into this new normal. But I've been trying to adjust to this new normal, and it's been pretty good, to be honest, because my husband is home, so he gets 10 weeks of paid paternity leave with his job, so he's home and helping, which has been great. My mom was here for 3 weeks. That was super great. So, you know, I haven't really been left hanging, so to speak, since we've been home. So, you know, I've been surviving pretty well here at home for the most part. Until my husband goes back to work. So we'll see how that goes. But I just wanted to share again, I guess, my birth experience and my induction experience. So, little background information. With my first daughter, I had a little bit of a traumatic, well, a lot of a traumatic birth. So I went into labor on my own with my first child at 42 weeks. So it was a very long pregnancy. And then when I had her, I had a very horrendous tear. They call it a grenade tear, so it's not even on the stages of 1 through 4. It's kind of its own thing. It's above that. So the healing process for that, the experience with that was very crazy, very long, and very uncomfortable. So I did have a physical traumatic birth with my first baby, so I was very excited and hopeful that this second time around I would not have that. So we ended up getting induced. I was 38 weeks in a couple days to avoid any kind of physical trauma again. And so yeah, I went in, I got checked into the hospital around 7 p.m. They started the induction. They put Cervidil in to prepare and soften my cervix for labor. That threw me into full-blown labor within like an hour. So they had to take it out. I got the epidural, and they just monitored to see if my body would continue progressing with labor, and it did. So throughout that evening and early morning, my body was continuously laboring on its own. And then I think around like 4 a.m. I started the Pitocin to just keep it going. Everything was great. Like like I said, I had the epidural, so I was pretty comfortable for the most part. I did feel a very intense pressure towards the end, that last hour, maybe 2 hours of labor. The pressure was insane. Epidural obviously couldn't really take that away. And I think I didn't really experience that the first time I had my first baby. I'm curious if it's because the pain was so crazy, because I refused the epidural and all that stuff for a long time the first time. I didn't remember the pressure the same way. The first time I had a baby, or the first time I gave birth, I remember just my hips were in so much pain, like it felt like my bones were breaking. I did not have that this time around. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting that your body kind of labors differently depending on the baby and the position and all that kind of stuff. You know, labor is just different for everyone. Each pregnancy experience for everyone is so different. So yeah, and then I was telling the nurse, I'm like, I'm feeling so much pressure. Like, I'm sorry, I might need to, you know, go to the bathroom or have used the restroom. So I think she had checked me an hour before I reported the pressure, and I think I was like, I don't know, maybe like a 5 or a 6 for dilation. And within an hour I was like, the pressure is insane. So she was gonna check me to see if I needed to use the restroom. I hadn't yet. And then so she's like, well, I'll just check and see how dilated you are. So she checked, baby was coming. She was like, oh, you're at a full-blown 10, we need to call the doctor. So just the progression with the induction was just wild to me, because that did not obviously happen the first time. So she was calling the doctor, people started coming in, preparing, getting things ready. She was like, the baby's coming. I was like, right now? And she was like, right now. And I looked at my husband and I was like, she's coming right now. So he like couldn't really grasp that everything was moving that quick either. Like he didn't really know until people started coming in. He goes, oh, like it's like serious. And so everyone's like, yeah, baby's right there, you can see. So he checked and she was right there. So yeah, so then the doctor came in within like, I think, I don't know, 15 minutes, because his clinic is right next door. So he was on his way, hurried in. I pushed a few times and out she came. Like I said, I had her at 12:45, and that's when things kind of took a turn. My daughter was born. Her name is Lita Lillian Redler, and when she came out, she had the cord wrapped extremely tight around her neck. It was wrapped around her neck, I think 3 times, and then it was also snaked all across her body. So it was around her torso, around her legs. She had some bruising on her chest from how tight the cord was wrapped around her. And when she was came out, she kind of was frigid like this, and the doctor said that she came out stunned, I guess. So he quickly took care of the cord, and immediately, like, you could just tell everyone was very concerned, and the nurses were rubbing on her, patting on her. I had my hands on her down here because they kind of, you know, they put her up on my stomach, but they hadn't passed her to me yet. And so I was in the moment, I didn't quite know what was wrong. I thought maybe, you know, just because with the cord around her neck, because we could all see it, that she, you know, just needed a couple seconds or whatever. But everyone was rubbing on her, patting on her, and she wouldn't cry. She's crying now. It took her forever to cry. And that's kind of when I started to get a little concerned. And I don't know how long it was that they were kind of like messing with her down there, but they said, we're gonna just take her for a second, Mom. We're gonna check on her and get her to start crying and everything. So they didn't put her on my chest. They didn't give her to me. They took her away, and I was like, okay. And I looked at the doctor, and he's like, she's gonna be fine, everything's okay. And so my husband went over there, was watching her and things. He could tell something was wrong. They put a I guess like almost like a CPAP or like a breathing mask over her to get her to breathe better. She did start to kind of whimper and cry a little bit after a while, but it wasn't like a full-blown healthy cry. And I guess she was kind of, I don't know what the word is. Everything was so stressful that it's kind of hard to remember now that I'm like sitting down and like, you know, collecting my thoughts. But she was like making some weird noises, I guess, in between breathing. So they called Respiratory in, and my husband like almost passed out. He had to go and sit down for a while because he was so overwhelmed and stressed with, you know, being concerned about her. So then I was like, okay, what is going on? And then I started to get worried and concerned and upset because I wasn't with her yet. I wasn't holding her. Like, this was not a happy moment that I was like picturing and anticipating in my head. And my doctor was great. He was like, calming me down, trying to get my attention off of her, and I think I had like a level 2 tear, so it was like a super textbook healthy postpartum experience for me, which was amazing. Like I felt great afterwards, which was so wild in comparison to the first time, and I'm very thankful and grateful for that, because that was, you know, half of our goal. So I guess my daughter wasn't breathing really great, so they had Respiratory come in, check on her, and they decided to take her to the NICU. Still at that point, I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, they're just gonna like maybe do some extra testing or check on her, because she was small. She's 5 pounds, 38 weeks gestation. So, you know, and I have little babies anyway, so we kind of knew she would be on the smaller end. So, you know, I was like, they're just gonna check on her and everything's gonna be fine. So they took her up there. Then they got me transferred over. By the time I had gotten settled, they allowed me to go up to the NICU and see her. And there they kind of explained, you know, what was going on and that she was going to stay there for a little while. She had what they call TTN, which is transient tachypnea of the newborn, rapid breathing, and just there was just, you know, concern with her respiratory function and everything like that. So they had to do a couple tests, some ultrasounds on her, things like that. They ruled out anything super major or very concerning. She had some fluid in her lungs that she just needed to kind of work out on her own, and all of that was like, you know, great, because it wasn't a super high concern reason for her to be in the NICU, but in terms of just the healing process and everything like that, it was just up to her. Like, it was just going to take a little while in her own timing, and they could, you know, they just kind of had to be patient and see how long it would take for her to get better. Thank goodness it wasn't anything super major, like no brain damage and nothing like that, you know, we definitely weren't the worst ones on the floor, but it was just upsetting because I had already had one traumatic birth experience, and then this second time around just didn't happen and unfold the way I wanted it to. So it was just a lot. And, you know, I had pictured this beautiful experience of my daughter, Clara, coming to visit us in the hospital and meeting her little sister there. And that was just not, the memories that were made were just not made in the way that I had made them up in my mind. And I shouldn't have done that. You know, I shouldn't have had any expectations. And I'm so thankful and grateful that my baby is safe and healthy and fine. And I don't want to like complain too much and make it seem like I'm ungrateful or that we had it the worst. I know that we didn't. It just was, you know, upsetting because I had this baby. We were kind of ripped away from each other from the start. I think I only held her for like 2 seconds. They let me hold her right before they took her up to the NICU for like 2 seconds, and yeah, it was just bizarre. It was just a weird experience. So she had to have some breathing treatments. She had a CPAP on for a couple days. She needed blue light therapy. She ended up getting some jaundice, and yeah, it was just like a waiting game. She was in the hospital for, I think it was 11 days. I discharged without her. That was horrendous. Like, I was not expecting that. I thought maybe she'd be in there for like a couple hours, maybe a day, and then she'd come downstairs and be with me and we would leave together and everything would be fine. Didn't happen that way. I had to pump when I was home to give breast milk, you know, obviously. I couldn't hold her for a while she was on the CPAP and on the blue light and everything. So it was just from one trauma to the other. Like, it felt so wrong to leave the hospital without her. It felt wrong to go to bed without her. It was a very agonizing, traumatic experience to be home without your baby. I felt so guilty being away from her. I felt guilty being at the hospital visiting her because I had my other baby at home. Like, wherever I was in the wrong place, is how I felt. I felt like I wasn't being a good mom. I felt like I wasn't being a present enough mom because I was split between going to the hospital and being home and pumping and trying to be happy for my toddler, and you know, while experiencing sadness and stress and upset with this whole thing. And it was just the most stressful, like I said, agonizing experience. It was really hard. It was really rough. I have so much sympathy and love for parents that their babies are in the NICU for much longer, for way worse problems, for these moms that go home without their babies. And I can't imagine what that feels like. So yeah, my heart goes out to other moms that have experienced something similar or way worse. I have so much appreciation and respect for the NICU team, for NICU nurses and doctors. You guys are miracle workers, truly. She got through it. They discharged her after, I think, like I said, it was like 11 days, 10 or 11 days. And we got to take her home, and everything kind of started to fall into place, which was great. And we're home now. So she's a month old today. It's December 6th. And she's doing really great. She's 8 pounds. We have a doctor's appointment on Monday. Very curious to see where she falls in the percentages of things. I didn't want to get too far into everything and spill too much and talk too much. And like I said, my mom brain is full swing right now. It just feels like absolute mush. But anyway. But yeah, we're home. We've been home for a while and transitioning into our new normal. Clara loves her little sister Lita. It's so sweet to see. We're kind of experiencing a little bit of cuteness aggression, so we're having to be very, you know, on her for being careful, using careful soft touches with little sister. Don't jump on her, you know, things like that. Let mommy feed her. Don't poke her eye. But that's where I've been. I've just been trying to take it easy and not put a lot of stress on myself, to be online in any capacity if it's too much. I was really hoping to like vlog a little bit more and things, but it just was not working out to do that. But hopefully now I can kind of start picking that up a little bit slowly. I have been vlogging a little bit over on TikTok, so if you want to check out my TikTok, you sure can. I would love to have you join me over there. If you have any questions or you want to hear a little bit more about something, let me know. Leave a comment and I would love to explain more, talk about more, or whatever. This is Lita. It's kind of bright, huh? Sorry. Hi. She looks very different from her sister, but when I compare two pictures, they do have a lot more similarities than I initially thought. So it's been fun to see what your genes can do, you know? I don't know what else to say. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon, and I'll see you in the next one. Love ya. Bye. Say bye-bye.